Here to set you free. How you doing? Happy Friday, TGIF. I hope it's sunny and warm where you are. Here in Southern California, it is 80 degrees, sunny and warm today, hence the spring-like colors, even though next week it'll get cool. It's going to drop into the 60s. Brr, I know, I'm so mean. Anyway, hi, this is Leslie Marshall. Welcome or welcome back. Only true democracy and talk. Thank you for listening to us on radio, on podcast, on stream, and also watching us on Twitter's Periscope, Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, and YouTube Live. We have not one but two great guests joining us today, and I hope you'll stick around for the whole hour. First up, Mr. Peter Vargas. Mr. Vargas is a 30-year insurance sales agent with AAA in Northern California. I'm in Southern California. If you don't know Cali, Northern California would be your San Francisco's, your Napa and Sonoma Valley, and things like that. Actually, I used to live in San Francisco, got engaged on the Golden Gate Bridge. I think I've shared that with you before. And then Southern Cal would be more like Los Angeles, San Diego. Northern Cal is San Francisco, Sacramento. So you get a lay of the land. I'm very excited to talk to Peter today with regard to what is happening with AAA and with their ability to organize and their attempts to unionize, specifically to become union members with the Teamsters. Very excited to talk about that with him today. I personally am a AAA user. It saved my life on more than one occasion, seriously, and I have lived all over the country. As a matter of fact, my mom buys me, my husband, my brother, his wife, and my other brother, who's not yet married, getting married May 29th, finally. She buys all of us the gold AAA cards so that, we won't, have any issues. She sleeps better at night knowing that, if we break down or, or a tire, can't be changed by somebody who's really bad at changing tires like me, that she knows that, we'll be safe and we'll be in their hands. Mark, is Peter with us, or should I continue on for a bit? Okay, no worries. So let me tell you a little bit about what is going on. In June, there were about 460 AAA insurance sales agents, specifically in Northern California. They organized with Teamsters Local 655, which is in San Francisco. They're actually a very unique group to become unionized, and this is why it's a desire to be unionized. This unique group of sales agents for AAA are licensed white-collar workers, okay? So you have a group of white-collar workers, right, insurance sales agents in Northern California, in Teamsters Local 665, to have formed a union. Now, they have been in contract negotiations since late summer in August. The company is, AAA, stalling, failing to seriously bargain, and making changes to the status quo. And by the way, that is not allowed during the bargaining period. Is he with us, Mark? Okay, awesome. More than a pleasure to have with us Mr. Peter Vargas, 30-year insurance sales agent with AAA in Northern California. Peter, Mr. Vargas, whichever you prefer, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show, sir. Thank you for being with us.
Leslie, thank you for having me. I consider it an honor. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you. I was just saying, my mom buys my husband and I, my brother and his wife, and my other brother, who's not yet married. The end of May is happening finally. AAA, the gold, the highest level family plan, because she sleeps better knowing that somebody is, can help me if I need a tire changed at 3:00 in the morning. And yeah. I have had great experiences with AAA. So I was excited to hear when you were on. The other reason I'm excited to hear that you're on today, Peter, is that I just was mentioning to our listeners what you did, what you and others did in your position there in Northern California. In June, about 460 AAA insurance, and that's a lot, almost 500, AAA insurance sales agents in Northern Cal, organized with Teamsters Local 665 in San Francisco. And you guys are really a unique group of people to form a union, and to form a union with Teamsters, or to join the union, that Local 665. You guys are white-collar workers, you're licensed white-collar workers, and you formed a union. But I want to talk about what's happened since, and the pushback from the company, from AAA, because you guys have been in negotiations, since the summer, since August, and it's already February in the next year. My understanding is that the company is stalling, they're failing to seriously bargain, and they're making changes to the status quo, which you can Google that. That is not allowed during the bargaining period. So first up, if you can tell us, why did you guys decide to organize? Because you are licensed white collar workers. That's something that's happening. We're seeing more. There seems to be a trend with that. And then second, talk to us about the pushback from AAA.
Yeah, so it was a unique situation to even decide on having the Teamsters Union of all to unite with us because of the type of business that we are in. A lot of folks may have thought, why the Teamsters of all people? Well, who would have better resources for us in the unique situation we were in? You mentioned when we started of the safety of AAA, and that's really what our goal is to have that exact same safety that we promise our members when they're broken down on the side of a road for emergency roadside assistance. We want that same safety for the employees.
Absolutely.
And for my coworkers. I'm sorry, I forgot the second part of that question, Leslie.
No problem. I'm talking about the pushback since negotiations started the end of the summer in August. Talk to us about how the company's stalling, they're failing to seriously bargain, making changes to the status quo not allowed during the bargaining period. I'm sure you expected some pushback. Are you surprised at how much pushback about the stalling, about the failing to seriously bargain? My understanding is the company has rejected, and correct me if I'm wrong, nearly every proposal from the union. They've failed to consider the workers' positions, and they've even failed to make any counter offers. This doesn't sound like a negotiation. It sounds like a cement wall.
So I actually have not been involved in the negotiations. I'm in one of the groups that originated the contact of all of the agents with AAA, obviously because of my tenure. We have heard reports. We get an update on a regular basis from our union representatives about the pushback. When you talk about changes to status quo, it's amazing that somehow or another they get access, that we have informed the union of certain things that have changed. There was, for instance, a ridiculous procedure of we run what's called a counter shift, where we can come in and clients walk in for assistance for a certain amount of time throughout the day. And not in my particular office, but in another office, apparently they put in a 1-minute rule that if the agent was 1 minute late, the agent would lose the opportunity to then basically quote new business and have an opportunity to generate business. And especially since we are commissioned agents, what the company has now done is rerouted all of the new business calls coming into the actual district offices. And so it's amazing because I handle close to 7,000 members myself. And there are some days in the office where the phone barely rings. And the calls we are servicing are questions for DMV or questions for travel, which none of us have any knowledge of. One of the other things they had originally pushed back on was cell phone usage in the office. Believe it or not. Now that has been retracted since then. They're saying that managers misinformed us as employees, but we were literally at a point where we're sitting in our cubicle and our manager would walk by and say, hey, put that phone away because it has critical information about our customers. And we tried explaining to them, we used to work, Saturdays, we used to work weekends, we used to work evenings, because especially in our area, in the Central Valley, we have members that travel to the Bay Area. And so you have after hour appointments. Well, that's not allowed any longer. They won't let us do after hour appointments. They don't want us doing weekend appointments. As a matter of fact, just Tuesday of this week, I had a late appointment, and so I extended my lunch so that I wouldn't get any overtime, and because they don't want us to working any overtime, and they literally had one of the managers waiting for me in the office until I was done to make sure that I was escorted out of the office when I was done writing the policy. And
That
this
is
is
insane, Peter. That
yeah,
is totally insane. Not only that, it's terrible for the customers because you're trying to assist people
that's
as
right.
AAA members or to become AAA members, and you can't even talk to them or make an appointment. And look, I used to live in Northern California. I know that whole area. I know what you're talking about with the commute. Traffic can be insane. And you really, need to have that flexibility, especially in the type of business that this is. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about that because I want to talk about a rule that I would be fired in a day, maybe a few hours, quite frankly, if I heard about it. I think I know you know which one I'm going to talk about. We'll be back with Peter Vargas. Peter is a 30-year insurance sales agent with AAA in Northern California. This is dynamite. These almost 500 AAA insurance sales agents in Northern California have organized with Teamsters Local 665 in San Francisco. They're a unique licensed white-collar worker group, and they're forming a union. AAA, not playing nice, not playing at all, putting up a wall. We'll be back, talk more about it. I'm Leslie Marshall. Don't go away.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or three.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey sis, missed you this morning. Kim told me you weren't feeling well, so I'm just doing a self-care check.
Oh, thank you, friend.
How you doing?
Girl, listen, my energy was so low because I didn't eat breakfast when I got up, so I had to miss virtual yoga with y'all.
Trust me, I understand.
But I'm doing much better now that I've eaten, so I'm back on track.
Great. In that case, let's get some steps in tonight. I'll come over and we can walk around the lake.
Sounds good. Appreciate you being in my business, too. Now, let me get in yours. Did you check your blood pressure today?
I did that and my squats, okay?
Okay.
High blood pressure is not going to be my friend if I can help it. See you at 6?
Let's get it. See you then.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1981. That was the day at least 8 workers at the Sequoia 1 nuclear reactor in Tennessee were exposed to radioactive coolant. The reactor was part of the vast Tennessee Valley Authority that provided electrical power to the region. Sequoia 1 had just been commissioned and was already off to a bad start. First, on January 19, 1981, a generator tube malfunctioned, forcing a complete shutdown. Then, on this day, an operator's error triggered an emergency alert. An auxiliary unit operator was working his first day on the new job without proper training. He inadvertently opened the wrong valve during a safety test. The operator misunderstood his instructions and recognized his mistake immediately. But when he tried to alert the control room, they were too busy responding to the developing crisis to answer his call. Reactor water sprayed for 10 minutes before it was finally shut off. As many as 14 workers were contaminated by the coolant. Some scientists contend that the release of reactor vessel water was inadvertent and part of the design of the cooling system. Others argue that, in order to cut costs, management had decided to use radioactively contaminated water as emergency coolant rather than the more expensive, fresh, uncontaminated water. Steam leaks, tube malfunctions, and overflowing drainage tanks were just some of the reported failures at the plant in the following years. Between 1985 and 1988, Sequoia was forced to shut down again.
Ready. Happy Friday, TGIF. Hey there, I'm Marshall. Welcome back on the Democracy Talk. Peter Vargas is our guest, 30-year insurance sales agent with AAA in Northern California. Why am I talking to him? Well, this past summer, he and over 400 of his peers, insurance sales agents for AAA in Northern California, Organized with Teamsters Local 665 in San Francisco, they're a unique group of licensed white-collar workers, and they have formed a union. They've been trying to get these contract negotiations since August. The company is stalling, failing to seriously bargain, changing the status quo, not allowed during the bargaining period, rejecting nearly every proposal the union has put forth, failed to consider the workers' positions, failed to make any counteroffers, and I think we'd all agree that's failing to negotiate in good faith. Peter, thank you for holding. Welcome back. You were telling us some of these crazy things like calls not coming through, not able to work any overtime, weekends, after hours in the evening, which is beneficial to people, the customers or future customers of AAA, and not being able to use your cell phones. I mean, the list goes on. I wanted to talk to you about something that is crazy that I heard about. Tell me if I'm nuts. I heard that in addition to not being serious about negotiating, and rather than being serious about negotiating, has AAA actually proposed a rule that would, in effect, allow the company to terminate, not just reprimand, terminate fire any employee who curses in front of a member. And member refers to a current or former member of any AAA club or any current, former, or potential member, which I think we could say is basically anybody, because anybody, I think out there, either you are a AAA member, you were a AAA member, or maybe you might be a AAA member. So that pretty much would be everybody. And is it true that there's also punishment if you're 1 minute late? You get punished. I mean, these things are crazy. Is this true?
That's absolutely correct. I was not aware of the so-called cuss rule. That was brought to my attention by one
I'm
of my
not proud of it.
coworkers.
I swear. I don't want to say swear like a truck driver. Truckers will get mad at me.
Yeah.
So I guess I can say swear like a sailor because my dad was in the Navy.
Sure.
So but I mean, I would, and Mark can attest, my executive producer, not proud of it. My kids
Yeah.
will even be like, "Mom, potty mouth," and
Yeah.
I would be done. This is insane, seriously. So you could be, you don't even have to be at your office. You could.
Well, you could be having a conversation with a friend over something that happened in a ball game the night before that you were watching TV, or for me, I coach high school basketball, and we're talking about a game. But it could be a manager walking by and hearing you obviously use a word that they considered as a cuss word. That is correct.
That's another point. Yeah, what do they consider, right?
Yeah, I guess it's based on each manager, and that's the other thing, Leslie, is that every office is run a little different. We're talking about the 1 minute rule. Well, the 1 minute rule was not implemented in my office. It was in one of the offices in the Central Valley. But the hardest part is, as I told you, the opportunity just to service people when we're busy picking up phone call after phone call, and it's, hey, is the DMV open? How many hours? What hours do you guys work, and so forth, rather than giving us the opportunity to sell that premier membership that you alluded to, right, with the 200 miles. And so that's the hardest part, is that you've also got two compensation plans with the company. And that's one of the things that we want to square up, is say, look, let's get everybody on the same page. Folks have asked me, Peter, why are you doing this after 30 years? You're sneaking up on retirement. Well, for me, it's for the young guys that are working in the office right now that would hopefully have an opportunity to make a career out of this job. And that seems to be the issue right now, is that it's simply a revolving door. You can't keep agents within the office based on the compensation plan that they've put in force.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk to you. You must have read my mind, Peter, because AAA has imposed a two-tier compensation scale, right? It pretty much guarantees that if you're new to AAA, you're a newly hired employee, that you'll never have the same opportunities as a more tenured employee like you. So like you said, that leads to the revolving door. Why stay? And I also want to say, a side note, how admirable it is of you to care about people who are there and people who will be there, or who are coming up. That's a testament not only to you and your character, and AAA should recognize that they have people like you in their ranks, because I mean, not everybody's a great employee, and but that's terrible to have nothing to look forward to, especially if you're working along guys like you, and I'm working with you and I'm a new hire. I can't even achieve what you have, right? They already reduced the ceiling on my head.
Correct. And then the outsourcing, what they're doing with the outsourcing, it's going to the call centers, and the majority of those call centers aren't even in our state currently. And so that's the other point I wanted to allude to, is that by outsourcing those opportunities, you basically have those new agents that are pretty much starving. If they don't write new business, they have no renewal base whatsoever.
It doesn't make any sense. They're hurting their own company and their reputation. I mean, people are watching and listening to this right now. Also, is it true that if you receive a call at your desk, they can just shut you down? They can shut the line down?
Well, what they first, if you receive a call on your cell phone, you are instructed to inform the member that you cannot continue that phone call, that they have to call you on a recorded line within the office. Now, I've heard that they've been able to cut off. We've had so many issues with the phone system since the pandemic that I think it's an instability, but I do hear that they do have that opportunity. Now, they are actually monitoring the calls. I actually had a client that requested a call recording re-listened to by one of our managers. And so he was able to pull up every single call that I was on for that day.
Wow. My understanding is that your local union has filed seven unfair, and that's just since the summer, unfair labor practice charges against the company. AAA has refused to bargain over, quote, just cause and fair compensation. What are you guys seeking from AAA?
Really, it's that safety and stability. As I alluded to earlier, it's pretty much keeping everyone. I think the hardest part for me, Leslie, I want to keep everyone on the same level, but more so, I think it saddens me that they have allowed so many agents throughout this time to realistically either leave the company, take an early retirement. Unfortunately, I've lost several friends that have taken early retirements, have left the company to go work for competitors. And I think that's the part, I feel the bleeding now. We feel it in our office. We handle almost 90,000 accounts in my office, and we have 8 agents handling 90,000.
And it's absolutely crazy. You have less people. You have to do more work in less time because they won't let you do the overtime and rack up the overtime, and they won't let you work on weekends or after hours. It's unconscionable. They're putting you in an impossible situation.
It's strictly 9 to 6, Monday through Friday. That is correct. And that's the heartaches we're all feeling. A client can call you over the weekend and, hey, I'm buying a car at a dealership. So, you mention that to the manager and find out whether or not you're allowed to go into the office. They don't want you writing business from your home pretty much either at this point.
Yeah. You're just asking to be treated fairly and with respect, which is, what every employee should get. I have to tell you, when you research the Teamsters, sometimes it takes a long time, but they usually win.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why we decided to go with the local 665 out of San Francisco. We knew they had the resources and they have put in numerous hours. I can't even tell you of my friends who are part of the bargaining committee, 11, 12 o'clock at night, going back and forth 2 nights a week, and then going into these bargaining committees and just feeling the frustration of not getting feedback from the company and trying to keep the status quo.
They work hard. And I'm so glad you guys are doing this. My gut is you'll prevail in solidarity, certainly. Peter, thank you for joining us today. Peter Vargas, 30-year insurance sales agent with AAA in Northern California, not treating their employees well and not allowing these people to get their union contract fulfilled. Think about that when you're looking at companies to go with right now. I'm Leslie Marshall. We'll be back right after this. Guest number 2. Peter, thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for having me.
Hey, Dad. How do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together.
Suddenly, social distancing is our new national etiquette, abruptly supplanting handshakes, hugs, gatherings, and other forms of ingrained communal behavior by us humans. Awkward, disconcerting, isolating. Yet, as we frantically scramble to deter the health and economic ravages of COVID-19, we might benefit by pondering a self-inflicted cause of the contagion's disastrous spread: social distancing. For some 40 years, American corporations and governments have imposed economic, political, and social policies to distance the financial fortunes of the wealthy few from the well-being of the workaday majority. Consider the interrelationship of multimillionaires with the unseen kitchen staff of restaurants where they dine. To further enrich themselves, such multimillionaires have forced low-wage policies on food preparers, denied health coverage for them, and lobbied to kill proposals to provide paid sick leave. So, a kitchen worker coughs because he or she is infected with coronavirus, but doesn't know it, since the worker has no health care coverage for testing. Even though running a fever, the staffer must come to work or lose the job. A few days later, a multimillionaire sneezes because, well, COVID-19 doesn't distinguish between rich and poor. The very proposals that plutocrats have been blocking for years, like living wages, Medicare for all, home health care, and others, are exactly what a sane government would adopt to avoid the consequences of inequality that now confronts every American. This is Jim Hightower saying the actual disease that's forcing social distancing on our country is the widening separation of rich elites from the rest of us, and the cure is a national push for renewed social cohesiveness. The catastrophic spread of COVID-19 reveals a truth we too often deny. We are a species of completely interdependent beings.
And we're back. Happy Friday, TGIF. I'm Leslie Marshall. Welcome or welcome back. Second guest in this hour joining us. His name is Andre Solin. Andre is terminal operator at United Metro Energy and Teamsters strike captain. Teamsters Joint Council 16 and its 27 affiliated local unions represent over 120,000 workers in the greater New York area and also in Puerto Rico as well. Love Puerto Rico. Their website is teamsters.nyc. That's teamsters.nyc. And please follow them on Twitter as well, at TeamstersJC16, on Twitter at TeamstersJC16. Thank you for being with us, Andre. Good to have you with us today. Welcome and happy Friday.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Well, my mom is a Brooklyn girl, so this got my attention when I read this. I want to talk to Andre. I want to talk to you, Andre, and our viewers and our listeners today about essential workers, which they are, at the United Metro Energy Oil Terminal, which is in Brooklyn. And they've been on strike since April 19th, 2021. Now, so for people listening and watching, I want to be clear about what United Metro Energy workers do and why they're essential. These workers provide gasoline, diesel, and heating oil to New York and have done so throughout this pandemic. Their owner is a billionaire with a B, John Katzimatidis. I hope I said that right. They paid them wages as much as 50% lower than all other city oil companies. How disgusting. You're raking in billions during a pandemic, and these people are risking their lives to help people get through this pandemic, and that's how you treat them? So I would imagine, Andre, that's what led to this strike that started April 19th, 2021, and you're the strike captain. Am I correct on that?
Yes, you are correct. That's exactly right. That started the process. Well, 2 years before we decided to go on strike, we decided to have some protection because we saw this treatment coming, and started negotiations from since then, which was in 2018, and there was no progress since then. And then is when only then is when we decided to go on strike. It was a last resort, and we didn't come by that decision lightly. We deliberated on it before we decided on it.
I'm glad you said that because I think a lot of people don't realize the painstaking a decision that goes into strikes. And I know this, from my union background and people in my family in unions and my relationship with unions and my support of unions. When you see somebody striking, like you said, it's a last resort. It is not something that, people come around lightly. I want to talk about what the company has done since the strike began. Now, they have sent letters to at least 8 workers over the course of the strike since April, right? Telling them that they've been permanently replaced, right? They're firing these individuals. And they're targeting illegally, I might add, union activists. Now there's an investigation underway with the National Labor Relations Board, right? Because you're not supposed to fire somebody on strike, and you're not supposed to target a union activist. That's illegal. Am I correct that there's an investigation by the NLRB?
Yes, we did file charges against the billionaire owner, and hopefully that is being resolved sooner than later. It's been 300 days. Well, Sunday would be 300 days since we are on strike. And that's tough on the guys. That's not easy to do. We've been there daily from 7 days a week, and we've been covering most of the shifts in the beginning and then pared it back to 5 p.m.
And this is another thing. When you're striking for that long a period of time, people have to understand, how much that can hurt you and your families. And it's you're fearful over your future security and how long will this be before there's an end game. We're going to mention there's a GoFundMe page. We're going to mention all that information before the end of the program. We will post it on all my social media sites so that people can help you and the other men and women out who are UMEC workers. UMEC has terminal workers, fleet mechanics, service technicians. They all voted to join Teamsters Local 553 in February 2019. But Mr. Billionaire dragged out negotiations for a first contract for 2 years, right?
That's
this all precipitated the strike, right?
Yes.
If you look, there are other fuel terminals in New York City that are unionized. They pay good wages. They provide quality benefits, but UMEC for years has undercut wages for you guys, offered an expensive health plan, and that health plan, my understanding, is not accepted by many doctors. Talk to us about that, Andre.
Yes, that health plan that was offered to us is not accepted by many healthcare providers. We had to do an extensive and exhaustive search just to find somebody who would accept it. And then the copays are very high. And most of us with the low wages couldn't afford that. There was one particular terminal operator, his son is a juvenile diabetic person, and then they took away his medical coverage the week that we went out. So that was a life-threatening situation for him. That kind of treatment, I think, is very unconscionable and it's dangerous. He could have died.
It's inhumane. Yes,
It is.
absolutely. And you got all you guys are asking for, men and women, all of you UMEC workers are asking for is wages that are comparable to what other terminal workers, fleet mechanics, service technicians are getting at other companies, and a healthcare plan that is, comparable to that as well. I mean, you guys aren't saying, hey, we want 6 months vacation,
You're right.
and we want you to triple our wages. You're simply saying, pay us what the market is paying, right? Pay us what other unionized shops are paying. That's all you're asking. And it's not like this man or this company's hurting. He can't be a billionaire with a B unless UMEC is doing well and making quite a profit.
That's correct. There's another situation also. One of the underpaid service techs, his son got killed because he was sleeping in his car by necessity. He was homeless. If his father had a situation that he could have helped financially, his son might have been alive today. So
unconscionable.
That's right. That's the price that we've been paying throughout this strike,
Right.
because this guy doesn't want to pay the normal wages that we're
Right.
that we're deserving of.
Absolutely.
mean,
You workers are not being paid the prevailing wage. And I want to give more information as to what is distributed by these men and women. Oil, heating oil. This is to not just homes. This is to New York City schools where our children go, hospitals, which during a pandemic have more people in them and more need, and gas stations, which we all know we have needed, right, to have. I want to point out something else. We were talking about money, right? The New York City Departments of Education, Social Services, and Environmental Protection and the City University of New York, together combined, actually pay UMEC about $21 million a year for fuel, oil, and motor vehicle fuel. Okay, right?
That's
21 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
You could take that 21 million and just take a tiny little piece of it and come up with a decent healthcare plan and decent wages for your workers, and you could still be a billionaire.
That's correct. He has no excuses, and he fancies himself a philanthropist. He throws his money around, but it all goes to benefit him. There is no consideration for us, his workers, who actually facilitate his billions. So he does that selfishly.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, do I have time? How you can help the workers on strike. We're going to post all this. But the workers of United Metro Energy, they've been on strike for roughly 10 months. They need help. They need financial help. I'm asking all of you to give, $1, $5, $10, $100, whatever you can do to help feed their families and keep their, mortgage or rent going as they continue to fight for their jobs. These people, by the way, delivered to our schools, our hospitals, our homes, our gas stations during the pandemic. All they want is a decent wage in healthcare. I don't think that's too much to ask when their boss is making billions with a B. There is a GoFundMe page that's been set up to help them feed their families during this strike, and any contribution, like I said, $1 or $100 that you can make will help. I'm going to contribute. Please do that as well. They appreciate your support. They thank you for your solidarity with them on this. Here is the website, www.gofundme.com/f/help-striking-families. GoFundMe.com/f/help-striking-families. I'm Leslie Marshall. We'll be back with him, Andre, and we'll be back with you after this. And we will post all this GoFundMe information on all my social media sites in case you're driving or you didn't have a pen to jot that down or your phone. I'm Leslie Marshall. Back in a moment.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. We show up differently, worship differently, and have found new ways to express our love and support to family and friends. But now there are vaccines, and they are the first step that lets us get back into the things we miss most, like spreading the word without spreading concern.
911, what's your emergency?
America's healthcare system is broken, and people are dying.
Welcome to Code WAC, where we shine a light on our callous healthcare system, how it hurts us, and what we can do about it. I'm your host, Brenda Gazar. This time on Code WAC, what happened to California's single-payer bill, AB 1400? And where does the single-payer movement go from here? We recently spoke to Michael Leidy, president of the Healthy California Now Coalition and former healthcare constituency director for Bernie 2020.
So on January 31st, it looked like we were heading to a floor vote on the California Assembly for AB 1400, but the author made an assessment, which is tough to do at the last minute, that it was not going to have the 41 votes it needed to pass. And as a result, you're either looking at a defeat and locking certain members of the Assembly into a no position, or you're going to withdraw it, live to fight another day, essentially. Of course, on the one hand, that deprives people of going on record. On the other hand, it does keep open the possibility that those who had not yet been convinced will be convinced in the future. So authors make these kinds of determinations all the time, and sometimes it doesn't go the way that, the grassroots want it to. On the other hand, we've got to look at the long term. And the long term says we're going to need 41 votes in the Assembly. And if we didn't have them this time, what is it going to take to get them in the future?
Do you have a personal story you'd like to share about our WAC healthcare system? Contact us through our website at heal-ca.org. Find more Code WAC episodes on progressivevoices.com and on Nurse Talk Media. You can also subscribe to Code WAC wherever you find your podcasts. This podcast is powered by Heal California, uplifting the voices of those fighting for healthcare reform around the country. I'm Brenda Gazar.
We are back. I'm Leslie Marshall. We are me, Leslie Marshall, and our guest, Andre Solin. Andre is terminal operator at United Metro Energy and Teamsters, and he is also, United Metro Energy, and he is also Teamsters strike captain. They are Teamsters Joint Council 16, and it's 27 affiliated local unions who represent over 120,000 workers in Greater New York and Puerto Rico. Their website, teamster.newyork, NYC, teamsters.nyc, and their Twitter handle is at TeamstersJC16. That's at TeamstersJC16. I just mentioned a GoFundMe page. I'm going to mention it again now and before the end of this hour. www.gofundme.com/F/help-striking-families to help these workers that have been on strike since April and who are not getting decent wages or decent health care that can be taken at places. I don't know what that is coming through here. I don't know what that is coming through here. Okay. Let me take that out. See, during the break, posting my article and something else came up. Apologies for that interruption. So back to what I was saying. The United Metro Energy strike has been going on for months, and these people need help to feed their families and to keep those roofs over their head, whether it's rent or it's mortgage. And I ask you to help. We're going to post it on all of our social media sites. Andre, thank you for holding. Welcome back. The UMEC is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Red Apple Group, RAG. They're
correct.
a conglomerate. They own and operate assets in energy, real estate, media, and supermarket industries. The owner is also the president, also the chairman, and the CEO. Fortune estimates he is worth $2.8 billion with the B. He and other investors are going to restart a minor league baseball team on Staten Island in 2022. And they're going to do it with financial assistance from the NYC Economic Development Corporation. Because I may have botched his name, Andre, can you say John's last name for me so we have the name correctly?
Katsimatides.
Katsimatides. Okay, thank you
That's
very
correct.
much. Thank you very much. So let's go back to the history of this and how this evolved. United Metro Energy strike and labor relations. So let's take a look. In January 2019, terminal operators, truck mechanics, service technicians at the Brooklyn facility voted to join Teamsters Local 553, and the workers still, listen to the time frame, folks, from January 2019, over a year now, have voted to join Teamsters, 2 years now, right? Wow, right,
Yes.
right? We're yeah.
Over 2 years.
Right. I voted to join Teamsters Local 553, and they still don't have their contract. Some people have been fired who are specifically, involved in the unionization, which is illegal. There is an investigation by the, National Labor Board going on. But in the meantime, these people are striking and they don't have decent wages. They don't have decent health care. That's all they're asking for. And by the way, competitor facilities that are union competitor facilities are paying these amounts. During ongoing negotiations for a first contract, UMEC demanded that its workers accept hourly wages that's $8 lower than the average hourly rate paid by other New York City heating and oil distributors, $20 lower per hour for at least one worker. Additionally, they're refusing to provide workers with a pension comparable to the pension at other heating oil distributors in New York City. And on April 19th, after 2 years of negotiations, 14 workers went on strike, demanding that the UMEC provide fair compensation. Not too much to ask. That's all they're asking for, fair compensation. What other people are getting in the same industry, in the same market. Not like, oh, somebody in Kentucky is getting this. Since the strike began, UMEC has unlawfully provided notice, as I mentioned, to 8 striking union members they've been permanently replaced. Now, Teamsters Local 553, I want to, have you talk. I just wanted to bring the people just tuning in, up to speed.
Mm-hmm.
So people understand, because there are people out there who probably think to themselves, why not just go work for one of those other companies? What would you say to that?
Well, it's not just that. It's not that simple to just switch in midair like that. Those companies attract real talent because their wages are better. And people do not just leave a decent union paying job to go somewhere else unless they're greener pastures. So they have a good core of people there because they attract good talent because of the union and because of their wages. They wouldn't just hire us like that if even they had positions. We had to be part of that union process.
But
with
I would
union
imagine,
training.
Andre, I would imagine it's not just you're fighting for you and the others on strike, but you're fighting for the future employees that come into this company, UMEC.
That's correct. If this place is unionized, the folks who are coming into it would also be compensated on a level that's should be normal with the rest of the industry, and that would attract better talent to the company also. So it's a win-win situation if he does the right thing, but he seems not to want to do the right thing.
I'm a business owner, and I have to say, a happy employee is a more productive employee. And I own more than one business in different fields, medical, media. And I don't understand how, somebody who's, making billions of dollars, doesn't understand that. You don't want a revolving door. That doesn't help your company's bottom line. And, at the end of the day, then the rich want to get richer, but, there are many rich in this country that get richer and still treat their employees well and still work out a proper negotiation and a proper wage and health care and pension package for their employees. And again, I can't emphasize enough, you guys are just asking for what other people have in the same market, in the same industry, who are also union workers. So you're asking apples for apples here.
That's correct. Absolutely. We're not asking for anything extravagant. And this guy being a billionaire, and it's not a lot of us. This 14 of us came out originally on strike. Nobody went back in. Of course, it's tough, but nobody went back to work for that company because it's not it's not attractive enough. You rather be out here and suffer and make the sacrifice than to walk back in at that very low wage and suffer while you work.
And also, I mean, this isn't just asking for a fair wage package. I mean, there have been numerous unfair labor practice charges against UMEC. And there have been filings by your union Teamsters Local 553, including hiring replacement workers to permanently replace striking workers. That's illegal. Starting with union activists. That's illegal. And they're doing it in order to discourage union membership. That's illegal. They're threatening workers with the termination of their health care coverage for striking. That's illegal. They're threatening they're threatening to honor or not honor the picket line. That's illegal. They're threatening to subcontract out the work performed by union workers. That's illegal. I understand that you have support from state senators Julia Salazar and Jabari Brisport, and also Assembly member, Emily Gallagher. Other elected officials that I haven't mentioned have also joined you who are striking, you members of Teamster Local 553, on the picket line, correct? You have, support of the local politicians on the state Senate level and the Assembly level?
Yes, that's correct. We do. And also other politicians who live in the Greenpoint area, because this is an area that's essential to the city of New York. It's a major commercial area. Besides that, there could be serious environmental impacts if something goes wrong with these replacement workers. We're on the creek, the Newtown Creek. That's a major waterway for commercial as well as migrating birds and so forth. It's major. So if something goes wrong with these cabs, we have a serious problem.
You also have the ferry coming from Manhattan over there, right? I've taken the ferry to Greenpoint. And I'm from Boston. I had some pretty good Maine lobster, Boston lobster there. For the interest of time, because I want to talk about, again, I want to reemphasize again how everybody listening and watching can help the workers on strike. Anything else that you want to throw on the table here, Andre, before we end?
Okay, you can now also, well, let me say the grievance process is also part of what we're asking. Anybody who initially was just dismissed without reasoning, without any kind of process. They would call you and dismiss you, sometimes without having you say goodbye to your coworkers. That kind of thing, we want to also have that on the table while we negotiate for wages and medical.
Not too much to ask at all. Once again, folks, I want to tell you how you can help the workers on strike. The workers of the United Metro Energy have been on strike for roughly 10 months, and they need your help, financial help, in order to keep their families fed and housed while they continue to fight for their jobs and for respect and fair pay. They are essential workers, once again, essential workers who have worked throughout this pandemic. They were told they didn't deserve to be paid the same as other workers, oil workers in the city of New York. There is a GoFundMe page that has been set up to help them feed their families during this strike. Any contribution you can make will help. They appreciate your support. They thank you for your solidarity. Once again, the website to help is www.gofundme.com/F/help-striking-families or dash www.gofundme.com/F/help-striking-families. Please go there. I'm going to, as soon as we are done with this show, I'm going to go there, and I hope you will as well. Andre, thank you for joining us. Once again, the website is teamsters.newyork for Teamsters Joint Council 16. And also on Twitter, follow them at TeamstersJC16. I'm Leslie Marshall. Have a wonderful weekend. And once again, go to that GoFundMe page, www.gofundme.com/F/help-striking-families.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you.